When did you follow Douglas to England?
After 12 months. I got here just before he married. I was his best man.
Did you know Mrs. Douglas before the wedding?
I did not.
But you've seen a good deal of her since.
I've seen a good deal of him since. You can't visit a man without seeing his wife.
Do you consider her a friend?
Yes, I do.
And did Mr. Douglas approve of your friendship with his wife?
You've no right to ask such questions.
I've every right. What's your answer?
I refuse to answer. None of this is relevant.
There's a connection between the murder and the marriage. Why else did the killer take the wedding ring?
How should I know that?
Do you know how the murderer got away?
Through the window and across the moat.
How long after the shot did you get to the study?
Not more than 30 seconds. I saw poor Jack's body and rang the bell for the servant straight away.
But you saw no one?
I've already said so. Then I heard Mrs. Douglas coming down the stairs.
And rushed to stop her?
Yes, and by that time the staff were there. I asked Mrs. Allen, the housekeeper, to take Ivy back up to her room.
A task which she accomplished with ease. No more questions.
Easy, Counselor.
You damn fool. I could have plugged you. What's wrong with giving the sign?
There's no time for all that. Listen.
Have you found out anything yet?
By doing everything possible, Mrs. Douglas.
But have you made any progress?
No.
Spare no money. I want every effort to be made.
Perhaps you can tell us something that will help.
I'm afraid not.
How long had your husband been downstairs before you heard the shot?
I can't say.
Was he usually up that late?
Yes, checking the doors and windows.
Did he have a set routine for this check?
I don't know.
Well, perhaps he always started with the study.
Perhaps. I really don't know.
What happened after you heard the shot?
Well, I'm sorry. I heard the shot. And I put on my dressing gown and came down. Mr. Barker met me on the stairs. He met me on the stairs. He said, "For God's sake, go back to your room. Poor Jack is dead. There's nothing you can do. For God's sake, go back." And then he made Mrs. Allen, the housekeeper, take me back up.
Did your husband ever speak about any danger threatening him from his past? Did he ever make any comment of that sort at all?
The Valley of Fear.
What did you say?
The Valley of Fear. 3 years ago, Jack was very ill, delirious with fever. One night, as I was bathing his forehead, he suddenly opened his eyes. He looked straight at me, but I don't think it was me he was seeing. And that was what he said, so low I could hardly hear. Am I never going to get out of the Valley of Fear?
I saw him on the cars when I went down the line yesterday. He didn't know me.
What name's he using?
Steve Wilson, same as before. He's not as clever as he thinks he is.
Did you speak to him, Mr. Hero?
Don't you ever give it a rest, Baldwin. No, I didn't speak to him. I waited till he spoke to me. I'm writing an article for a paper in New York, says he. And I'm after anything you can tell me about the outrages. I've got his money.
And what did you do for it?
I'm tired of your interruptions, Baldwin. Let Brother McMurdo tell this his own way.
Bodymaster, I fed him some nonsense. Stuff I knew he wanted to hear. And I promised him a lot more besides if he'd meet me at my lodgings 9 o'clock tonight.
I fancy Mr. Birdie Edwards will find more of a welcome than he's expecting. Good work, brother. There'll be a vacancy at Pinkerton's come the morning.
What did you learn from the staff?
Nothing really new. Their master had no enemies that they knew of. He was a popular man in the village. Ames the butler confirms that Douglas was nervous and jittery when he came back from Tunbridge Wells, and Mrs. Allen's story matches Barker's exactly. He asked her to take Ivy Douglas back up to her room and sit with her.
Are they telling the truth?
Yes, I think they are. They've both been in service here since Douglas bought the house. And they're both genuinely shaken by his death, I'd swear to it.
Did they hear the shot?
No, but the staff quarters are at the back of the house and the walls are pretty thick.
Barker said he rang the bell.
Yes, and they confirm it. They were there inside a minute.
What's their opinion of Barker?
An easy, free-going gentleman, but my word, I'd rather not be the man who crossed him. That's the butler.
And the housekeeper.
Rather too friendly with the master's wife, sir, if you want my opinion.
Interesting.
Did you two make any progress while I was away?
I discovered that the moat's only about 4 feet deep at the edges, rather more than that in the middle.
Is that relevant?
My question exactly, Doctor.
Perhaps. Perhaps.
Well, I'm away off for a spell. I want to see how White Mason's doing with that bicycle. Will you gentlemen come with me?
No, I believe we'll stay here and think things over.
Very good. I'll see you later, then.
Mr. Mac?
Impressions. Her first.
She's a very beautiful woman.
I knew I could rely on you to observe that.
Well, you can give me credit for a little more.
Go on.
I was going to say a very beautiful woman, but the look she gave us as she left was rather ugly. I could have sworn she was trying to read what impression she'd made on us.
Anything else?
The way she told us the events.
Like a prepared speech and none too well remembered.
Yes. But I just don't believe she's that cold-blooded. She must have known we'd ask about the murder. Perhaps she did rehearse it beforehand. Perfectly understandable.
What about Barker?
I couldn't decide if all that indignation was real or fake.
What about this American business? The threatening stranger, the secret society, the Valley of Fear?
Oh, I believed her about that. But it doesn't exactly fit in with your criminal mastermind theory, does it? Your professor, what was it?
Moriarty.
Moriarty. That brand mark on Douglas's arm was real enough.
It's a lie, Watson. A great, big, thumping, obtrusive, uncompromising lie. It met us on the threshold and it's been with us ever since. Now, come on. Well, Barker's whole story is false. None of it adds up.
But his story matches hers.
Therefore, she's lying, too. But why?
Are you sure about this?
What are they hiding?
Why are the stories false?
Because none of it's possible.
Servants aren't lying.
Well, maybe not, but they weren't there at the crucial time.
They were there immediately afterwards.
Were they?
Well, yes, or as near as damn it. Is all the American stuff false, too?
What if Barker is shielding the woman?
You think she's the killer?
Listen.
What did you hear?
The two of them. There.
What sort of heartless creature can laugh like that just a few hours after a husband's murder?
She doesn't shine as a wife, even in her own account.
What do you mean?
I'm not an admirer of womankind, as you know.
Yes, I certainly do.
But if I ever married, I'd hope that my wife would display rather more feeling for me than that, to allow herself to be meekly led away by a housekeeper when my corpse was lying within a few yards of her.
You really think she might have shot him? Or the two of them acting together?
There's an appalling directness about your questions sometimes.
It's usually the only way I can get a direct answer.
Touché.
Well, am I going to get one now?
There are 3 things I'd like you to do.
Go on.
Organize us a room at the village inn, and leave word at the police station that Mac and White Mason can find us there this evening and bring us up to date.
That's 2 things. What's the third?
Lend me your umbrella.
The house where McMurdo lived was well suited for what the Scowrers had planned. It stood on the fringe of the town and well back from the road, and there were only 2 boarders, both of them brothers of the lodge. In any other case, the conspirators would simply have ambushed their man and emptied their pistols into him as they had many a time before. But this instance was different.
We have to find out how much he knows already.
And how much he's passed back to his employers.
Maybe we're already too late.
If we are, at least we'll have our revenge.
No, we're not too late. If he knew anything big already, why did he pay me for the nonsense I fed him? And why did he agree to come here tonight? When he comes, I'll take him into the hall, make sure he's alone. Then I'll bring him in here.
And we'll show him the hospitality of the lodge.
What's the time?
Half an hour to go.
This is very good. Why don't you have some? Very good.
Can you entertain yourself tonight?
I beg your pardon?
I'm going to spend an hour or so alone in Douglas's study.
Do Mrs. Douglas and Barker know?
No, I arranged it all with Ames the butler after you'd left. I think it's going to be very valuable. Soak up the atmosphere, that sort of thing.
Soak up the atmosphere.
With the aid of your umbrella, yes.
Holmes, if you're expecting danger, that's a wretched sort of weapon.
Oh, I'm not. If it was danger threatening, I'd take you with me.
Mr. Holmes! Doctor!
Gentlemen. You two look as though you've had a good afternoon.
Aye, we did that, Doctor.
We've had the bicycle identified.
Oh, congratulations.
We took the machine over to Tunbridge Wells and showed it round the hotels. The manager of the Eagle Commercial knew it at once.
It belonged to a man named Hargreave, who checked in 2 days afore and then disappeared.
The man was about 50 and tallish.
That's a little vague, Mr. Mack.
Why, it wasn't the sort to draw attention, Doctor. The manager did better with his clothes. A heavy grey suit with a reefer jacket and a yellow overcoat.
But this is the real snorter. The man was definitely an American.
Prime up that stove, Willoughby.
You cold, McMurdo?
We'll strap him across it till he squeals.
How much longer?
15 minutes.
Leicester.
Leicester.
Nottingham.
Nottingham.
Southampton.
Southampton.
East Ham.
East Ham.
East Ham. And Derby, and Richmond, and 12 other...
14.
14 other places. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Is this the missing American?
Aye, Doctor. Telegrams in response to our appeal. The country seems to be full of fugitives in yellow overcoats.
Dear me. Well, Mr. Mack and Mr. White Mason, I have a piece of very earnest advice for you.
Oh, man, I'll be pleased to hear it.
Abandon the case.
Holmes?
You think it's hopeless?
Yes, I do.
But this cyclist must be somewhere. Why shouldn't we be able to
Oh,
find
I don't
him?
doubt he's somewhere. I'm sure you'll find him. But stop wasting your energies in Richmond and East Ham, gentlemen.
But last night you were congratulating us.
What's happened since then?
Two things. I spent a couple of hours at Birlston Manor.
And?
And I've read this.
You didn't tell me about this.
Well, I'm glad it's not just us you keep in the dark, Mr. Holmes. What is that, Doctor?
The ancient manor house of Birlston. A short history.
Short, but exceedingly interesting, and purchasable at the modest sum of 1 penny from the local tobacconist.
You're making fools of us. This has nothing to do with the murder.
Isn't it? Breadth of view, Mr. Mack, one of the essentials of our profession. Take it from someone older and more experienced.
I don't dispute that you're both of those, Mr. Holmes. But you've a damned round-the-corner sort of way of getting to your point.
Why on earth should we drop the case?
For the simple reason, my dear sir, that you don't have the faintest idea of what it is that you're investigating.